In this video, we'll be walking you through the step-by-step process of applying for the post-graduation work permit online from inside Canada, ensuring that you have a clear understanding of the required documents, the application process, and potential pitfalls to avoid. Additionally, we will address some of the most common questions that arise after you submit your application. We'll discuss what to expect after you apply, whether you can work during the processing period, what steps to take if you plan to leave Canada, and the necessary documents for re-entry. Join us as we provide you with all the information you need for a successful PGWP application journey.
When to apply?
You have up to 180 days after you graduate to apply for a PGWP. In other words, you have 180 days after your school issues your final marks to apply for a post-graduation work permit. You don't have to wait until you physically receive your diploma or attend your graduation ceremony to apply for a post-graduation work permit. All you need to apply for a PGWP are an official letter from your school that confirms you've completed your study program, and an official final transcript or a copy of your final transcript from your school's website. To be eligible, your study permit must have been valid at some point during these 180 days. In other words, you are not eligible for a PGWP if you have a study permit that expired more than 180 days before you applied. Your study permit will expire on the date marked on the permit, or 90 days after the day you complete your studies, whichever comes first. Don't let your status expire while you wait for your final marks. You must hold valid temporary status in Canada to be eligible to submit a PGWP application inside Canada. If your study permit will expire before you get your final marks, you have two options. You can apply for a visitor record to stay in Canada longer, or leave Canada and apply for your PGWP from outside Canada. It is recommended that you apply for your PGWP while holding your valid study permit, so you can receive maintained status and start working full-time in Canada as soon as you submit your PGWP application. If you don't change your status to visitor and your study permit expires, you have up to 90 days after your study permit expires to apply for a PGWP and restore your status as a student. To restore your status as a student, you must apply online for your PGWP and pay the correct fee, $255, and pay the fee to restore your status as a student, $350. You can't work until your study permit and work permit have been approved. If you don't apply within the 90 days, or if the 90 days have already passed, you must leave Canada.
How to apply?
You can apply for PGWP from inside Canada or from another country, as long as you're eligible. How you can apply for a PGWP depends on where you're applying from. In most cases, you must apply online. In this video, we will specifically focus on how to apply for the PGWP online from inside Canada. We will have a separate video discussing the process of applying for the PGWP from outside Canada. Stay tuned and ensure you receive notifications by subscribing to our channel.
Gather documents.
Your documents and forms must be in PDF, JPG, TIFF, PNG, DOC, or DocX file format. The maximum size for each file is 4 megabytes. You must provide a scanned copy of your passport that includes the bio page and a copy of every page in your passport that has stamps, signatures, visas, or any other markings from Canada or other countries. You must combine all these pages into a single PDF file for submission. If you did not use a passport to enter Canada, you can submit photocopies of your travel or identity document, such as citizenship certificates, birth certificate, alien registration cards, etc. How long your PGWP is valid for depends on the length of your study program. If your program was less than 8 months, you are not eligible for a PGWP. If your program was at least 8 months, but less than 2 years, you may be issued a PGWP that's valid for up to the same length as your study program. If your program was 2 years or more, you may be issued a PGWP that's valid for 3 years. Your work permit duration cannot exceed the validity of your passport. Consequently, a shorter work permit may be issued based on the expiry date of your passport. If your passport will expire soon, consider extending it before applying for a post-graduation work permit. You need to submit photocopy of your current immigration document if you have one, such as your visitor record. You need to submit an official letter from your school that confirms you've completed your study program. If you completed more than one program, it is necessary to submit letters for each of them. You can combine all the completion letters into a single PDF file for submission. You need to submit a copy of your official transcript, or a copy of your transcript from your school's website. If you completed more than one program, you can combine all the transcripts into a single PDF file for submission. You need to submit a digital color photo for your PGWP application. The link to the photo specifications is provided in the description below. If you want to work in a field that requires a medical exam, you can get an upfront medical exam no more than 90 days before you apply. Additionally, there may be other situations where a medical exam is required. We will address the topic of whether you need a medical exam later in this video. If you had an upfront medical exam before submitting your application, then you must include a copy of the IMM 1017B upfront medical report form with your application.
Complete the application forms.
IRCC periodically updates their application forms, so it is crucial to verify that you are using the current version. To ensure that you are using the most up-to-date application forms, it is essential to download them directly from the official IRCC website. The links to download the required forms are listed in the description below. You will need to complete and submit the IMM 5710 form. Type your unique client identifier number here. The UCI can be found on your study permit, work permit or visitor record. Check apply for a work permit for the first time or with a new employer. If your study permit is still valid, select Student under Status. Enter the date you first entered Canada as a student and the expiry date of your study permit. If you've changed your status to Visitor, select Visitor under Status. Enter the issue date and the expiry date of your visitor record. If your study permit is expired and you didn't change your status to Visitor, under Status, select Other. Under Other, type in, Out of Status. Leave the From and To boxes blank. Provide the date and the place where you first entered in Canada here. Provide the document number of the most recent visitor record, study permit, work permit or temporary resident permit issued to you. The document number can be found in the top right corner of your document. For post-graduation work permit application, you don't need to answer question 2 to 7 here. Just leave these questions blank. You must type your full name here to sign the form and date here. Do not print out your application form to sign it. Once the application is completed, click on the Validate button. This will generate a barcode page. If the form is validated, the validated box will display Yes. If the form is not completed, it cannot be validated. If you click the Validate button, the barcode will not be generated, and the validated box will display No. Additionally, a message will pop up indicating which parts of the form are incomplete. Please ensure that you complete the necessary sections and click Validate again until the form is successfully validated. A sample IMM 5710 form that has been completed and validated is provided for your reference. The link to download the sample form is in the description below. If you hire a representative to help you with the application, you need to submit the IMM 5476 form.
Submit the application online.
Now that you have prepared all the required documents and forms, it's time to proceed with uploading the documents and forms, paying the application fee, and submitting the application online. Let's walk through the process step by step.
Step 1. Create or sign in your IRCC account.
To start the process, let's go to the official website of the Government of Canada www.canada.ca. Click Immigration and Citizenship. Click Sign in, or create an account to apply online. If you can't find this link, click the link in the description below. You have two options to sign in the IRCC account. You can choose option 2 if you have one of these bank accounts. Click your bank, and then enter your online banking information. If you don't have a Canadian bank account, you can choose option 1, sign in with your GC key user ID and password. Your GC key can be used to access multiple Government of Canada online enabled services. If you don't have a GC key account, you need to register one first. Click Register with GC key. Click Sign up. We will omit the registration process in this video. We have a separate video titled, create Express Entry Profile, step by step, where you can find detailed instructions on how to register a GC Key account. Now, assuming you have already created an IRCC account, let's proceed with signing into your account.
Step 2. Prepare your answers for the online tool.
Click Apply to come to Canada. Click Visitor Visa, Study and Work Permit. Before you can upload your forms and documents, you must answer these questions. Your answers will be used to create a personalized document checklist for you.
What would you like to do in Canada?
Work.
How long are you planning to stay in Canada?
Temporarily, more than 6 months.
Select the code that matches the one on your passport.
If you're unsure which code to choose, simply refer to your passport.
What is your current country or territory of residence?
If you are currently in Canada, select Canada. However, it's important to note that even if you are not in Canada at the moment, you can still apply for PGWP.
Do you have a family member who is a Canadian citizen or permanent resident and is 18 years or older?
Here, family member means a spouse or common law partner, dependent children, and their dependent children. Enter your date of birth.
Are you a lawful permanent resident of the United States with a valid U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services number?
No.
What is your current immigration status in Canada?
If your study permit is still valid, choose Student. If you've changed your status to Visitor, choose Visitor. As we mentioned earlier, if you haven't changed your status to Visitor and your study permit has expired, it is necessary to first restore your status as a student before applying for PGWP.
Do you plan to work on campus?
No.
Are you a full-time student at a participating post-secondary institution and want to work off campus up to 20 hours per week?
No.
Have you recently graduated from a participating Canadian post-secondary institution for which your study program was full-time and a minimum of 8 months?
Yes.
Is your work an essential part of your studies?
No.
Have you been told by an Immigration, Refugees and Citizenship Canada office that you are approved in principle for permanent residence in Canada?
No.
Have you submitted a permanent resident application in Canada?
No.
Do you have a written job offer?
In most cases, the answer is no. Here, a job offer doesn't mean an employment contract. It means your employer has made a written offer to give you a full-time, non-seasonal job for 1 year or more if you are accepted as a permanent resident, and has a positive labor market impact assessment, or the job is LAMIA exempt. Therefore, in most cases, the answer to the question would be no.
Do you have an official letter from your school that confirms you've completed your study program, as well as a copy of your final transcript?
You need both of them in order to submit the application. So yes. Select your marital status. Select your province or territory of destination. Based on your answers, you may be eligible to apply for PGWP. Continue. Now you need to answer more questions. Continue.
Do you have an official letter from your school that confirms you've completed your study program, as well as a copy of your final transcript?
Again, yes.
Have you had a medical exam performed by an IRCC authorized doctor within the last 12 months?
If you haven't, you will need to have a medical exam in one of the following 2 situations. Situation 1, you have lived in one or more designated countries or territories for more than 6 months in the past year. Click here to check if a country is designated. Type the country name in the filter items box. Let's assume you have lived in Germany for more than 6 months in the past year. In such case, it is not necessary to undergo a medical exam. Situation 2, you intend to work in one of the following medical or health jobs.
Do you fit into one of these categories?
If your answer is yes, you need to get the medical exam.
Will you be getting a medical exam before submitting your application?
It is recommended to get a medical exam before submitting your application as it will speed up the processing of your application. For a medical exam, you must see a physician on Canada's list of panel physicians. It is important to note that you cannot simply go to any clinic to undergo the medical exam. Click here, you can find a doctor in your area. Select your country. Select your province. You can see the list of the doctors. Now let's go back to the questions.
Do you want to submit an application for a family member?
No.
Are you giving someone access to your application?
You can appoint a representative to apply on your behalf. In that case, you need to submit the form IMM 5476. Or you can grant authorization for IRCC to release your application information to another person, for example, a friend or family member. In that case, you need to submit the form IMM 5475. Select No if you are not giving anyone access to your application.
In the past 10 years, have you given your fingerprints and photo biometrics for an application to come to Canada?
Here, it's important to clarify that when referring to fingerprints, it does not pertain to the fingerprints you provided at the airport. Instead, it refers to the fingerprints you provided at Service Canada if you were in Canada, or at Canada's visa office if you were in another country. If you are unsure whether you have already completed the biometrics process, you can select No and proceed with paying the $85 biometrics fee. If it is later discovered that you have indeed completed the biometrics, the $85 fee will be refunded to you.
There are fees associated with this application. Will you be paying your fees, or are you fee exempt?
Yes, I will be paying my application fees.
Are you able to make a digital copy of your documents with a scanner or camera?
Yes.
Will you be paying your application fees online? To pay online, you can use a credit card or a Visa debit or debit MasterCard.
Yes. Now, you can review your answers. If you find any incorrect information, you can modify your answers and click Update Information. Once you have thoroughly reviewed all your answers, continue.
Step 3. Upload your forms and documents.
Here, you can see that a personalized document checklist has been generated for you. Simply upload your forms and documents as instructed on the checklist. Here, you can upload the document provided by the doctor, commonly referred to as the e-medical or IMM 1017B, which includes your photo as proof of the medical exam. You don't need to submit IMM 5257. If you would like to provide more information about your application, you can upload a letter of explanation here. Now we've uploaded all the forms and documents.
Step 4. Pay your fees and submit the application.
Here you can see a list of fees. Click Next. Click I agree. Type your first and last name. Answer the security question. Click Sign. Click Transmit and Pay. Click Transmit and Pay again. Now you can pay the fees with credit card or debit card. Once you have completed the payment, your application is submitted.
After you apply.
After submitting your PGWP application, you should expect to receive an email from IRCC. It's important to note that each time IRCC sends a message regarding your application, you should receive an email notification. Once you receive an email notification, you should log into your IRCC account to check the status. To stay updated, be sure to check your email regularly, including the junk box, to ensure you don't miss any important communications from IRCC.
Processing time.
As of May 15, 2023, the average processing time is 138 days for online PGWP application. The processing times vary widely. You can check the processing time on the IRCC website.
Can I work after I submit my PGWP application?
If you had a valid study permit when you submitted your application, you can work full-time until IRCC makes a decision on your work permit application. If you receive the WPEXT for PGWP letter, IMM 0127E, you're authorized to work until a decision is made on your work permit application, even if the 120-day validity period has expired. If you need proof of authorization to continue working, you can ask for it by using IRCC's web form. If your PGWP application is refused, you must stop working the day you get the notification.
Can I travel outside of Canada after I submit the application?
Yes, you can travel outside of Canada. You must have a valid visitor visa or ETA when you return to Canada. If you leave and re-enter Canada after applying for your PGWP, you can still work full-time while you wait for a decision.
Do I also need to apply for a visitor visa or ETA?
If you apply from inside Canada and you need a visitor visa to enter Canada, you won't be issued a new visitor visa when your PGWP application is approved. If your current visitor visa is expired and you want to travel outside of Canada, you'll need to apply for a new visitor visa separately. If you apply for PGWP from inside Canada, and you don't need a visitor visa to enter Canada, you'll be issued an ETA when your PGWP application is approved.
Can my spouse get a work permit too?
If your application for a post-graduation work permit is approved, it's worth noting that your spouse or common-law partner may be eligible for an open work permit. We will be covering the topic of spouse work permits in another video, so make sure to subscribe to our channel to stay updated and receive notifications when new videos are released.
After you receive your work permit.
Once you receive your PGWP, check the length of the work permit to make sure it was issued correctly. Again, if your program of study was at least 8 months and less than 2 years in length, your work permit should match the length of your program. If your program of study was 2 years or more in length, or a graduate program that was 16 to 23 months in length with no scheduled breaks, you should receive a 3-year work permit. If you believe the officer made a mistake with the length of your work permit, contact IRCC through web form immediately. If all the information on your PGWP is correct, you can proceed to apply for or extend your social insurance number. You need a valid SIN to be paid for work in Canada. Additionally, it is crucial to keep your immigration and health insurance documents up to date. It's important to stay aware of the expiry date of your work permit and take appropriate action. You must either leave Canada or apply for another immigration document before your work permit expires.
If you are interested in learning more about Canadian immigration, citizenship, work permit, study permit, and visitor visa, make sure to subscribe to our channel. We regularly update our channel with new and informative videos, so subscribing will ensure that you never miss out on any important information. Thank you for your support, and we look forward to seeing you in our next video.